In the quaint town of Everdale, there lived a boy named Oliver, known for his quick wit and boundless potential. Despite his natural talents, Oliver had one critical flaw: he squandered his time. His days were a blur of endless video games, ceaseless social media scrolling, and idle chatter with friends. Though his teachers marveled at his intellect, his lack of discipline was a growing concern among everyone who cared about him. Oliver's parents often urged him to focus. "Time is the most valuable gift you have," his mother would say, gently reminding him to complete his homework before indulging in distractions. His teachers noticed that while his ideas were brilliant, his assignments were rushed and incomplete, reflecting his habit of leaving things until the last minute. Still, Oliver clung to the belief that he had plenty of time. "There's always tomorrow," he would tell himself, not realizing how quickly the present slips away. One fateful day, the annual school examination results were announced. To the shock of his peers and the dismay of his family, Oliver's grades had fallen dramatically. His once celebrated brilliance was overshadowed by his careless procrastination. The disappointment was palpable. Teachers exchanged worried glances, and even his closest friends began to distance themselves. With his head hung low, Oliver trudged home, feeling the full weight of his failure. That evening, seeking solace and guidance, Oliver decided to visit his grandfather, Mr. James, who lived in a charming, ivy-covered cottage on the outskirts of Everdale. Mr. James was renowned in the town not only for his wisdom, but also for the majestic antique clock that graced his study, a relic with intricate gears that seemed to whisper secrets about the relentless passage of time. Sitting by the gentle warmth of a crackling fireplace, Oliver confided in his grandfather. "Grandpa, I feel lost. I'm smart enough, yet I keep messing up. I waste my time on meaningless distractions, and now everything is crumbling around me." His voice trembled with frustration and regret. Mr. James listened intently, his eyes soft with empathy. After a thoughtful pause, he motioned toward the ornate clock and said, "Oliver, let me tell you the story of the Sands of Destiny." He began to recount the tale of King Aurelius, a once great ruler from long ago. King Aurelius was celebrated for his intelligence and ambition. He inherited a vast kingdom, replete with majestic palaces and loyal subjects. However, despite his riches and power, Aurelius had a fatal flaw. He took time for granted. Rather than attending to the affairs of his state, he spent his days indulging in extravagant feasts, long banquets, and idle pursuits with his closest friends. Advisors and ministers repeatedly warned him that his lax attitude toward time would lead to ruin, but the king laughed off their concerns. "I have all the time in the world," he would declare, dismissing their warnings. Inevitably, a severe drought struck the kingdom, and misfortune began to plague the realm. The fertile lands turned barren, and the once prosperous markets dwindled. Desperate, King Aurelius turned to a revered sage for counsel. The sage's words were somber and clear. "Your Majesty, time is like the sands in an hourglass. Every moment wasted is an opportunity lost, never to return. If you do not change your ways, regret will be the only legacy you leave behind." But the king's pride was too stubborn. He ignored the sage's advice until it was far too late. As the years passed, King Aurelius watched in despair as his kingdom crumbled. His subjects suffered, and his legacy was forever tainted by the squandered moments of his reign. In the twilight of his life, the remorse of wasted time haunted him, a heavy burden he could never shake. Listening intently, Oliver's heart pounded with a mix of sorrow and revelation. "So, what you're saying, Grandpa, is that every moment is precious, and once it's gone forever," he asked softly. Mr. James nodded. "Exactly, my dear boy. Time is the most valuable treasure you possess. When you waste it, you rob yourself of opportunities, growth, and success. But when you respect it and use it wisely, even the smallest moments can lead to greatness. Inspired by his grandfather's words and the tragic tale of King Aurelius, Oliver resolved to change his life. The very next morning, he rose at dawn with determination. He established a new routine. The early hours were dedicated to studying and personal growth, while leisure time was scheduled sparingly and purposefully. Slowly but steadily, Oliver began to see the fruits of his disciplined efforts. His grades improved, and his creative pursuits, like writing and painting, blossomed. Over time, Oliver's transformation was evident to everyone in Everdale. His teachers marveled at his newfound commitment, his parents filled with pride, and even his old friends were drawn to his positive energy and drive. Oliver became a symbol of change in his community, a living testament to the power of valuing time. Years later, as Oliver matured into a successful entrepreneur and respected community leader, he never forgot the lesson of the sands of destiny. He often shared the story of King Aurelius and the wise words of his grandfather with those who struggled with procrastination and wasted time. Through workshops and personal mentoring, Oliver helped countless young people realize that time, when cherished and wisely spent, could be the catalyst for achieving their dreams. In the end, Oliver discovered that the true treasure was not wealth or fame, but the careful and deliberate use of every precious moment. The legacy he built was not just in his success, but in the lives he touched, all because he learned to value the sands of destiny slipping quietly through the hourglass of life.